All right, let's talk about the future of our roads. We're diving into something called V2X technology. Basically, it's the tech that's going to let our cars talk to, well, everything. Other cars, traffic lights, you name it. This is going to be a big one, so let's get right into it. So just imagine this for a second. You're driving down the road and your car suddenly pings you a warning. There's a patch of black ice just around that blind corner up ahead. Or maybe it tells you the car 3 vehicles in front of you just slammed on its brakes. This isn't science fiction, folks. This is the whole promise behind V2X, creating this massive, life-saving network on our roads.
So what is this stuff really? It's called V2X, and that stands for Vehicle to Everything. The whole idea is to create this connected ecosystem where our cars are no longer just these isolated metal boxes. Nope, they're going to be active players in a network that's constantly talking.
At its core, V2X is all about communication. See, every car with this tech has something called an onboard unit, or an OBU. The easiest way to think about it is like a super fast, super specialized modem for your car. This little box is constantly sending and receiving critical data wirelessly, turning your car into a smart, aware participant on the road.
And when they say everything, they really mean everything. This isn't just about cars talking to other cars. That's called V2V. It's also vehicle to infrastructure, so your car can chat with traffic lights to know when they're going to change. Then you've got vehicle to pedestrian, which could connect to a cyclist's phone. And finally, vehicle to network, linking your car up to the cloud for real-time traffic data and more. It's the whole shebang.
Okay, so you have all these digital conversations happening all the time. What's the big deal? What's the payoff? Well, the potential here is absolutely huge. We're not just talking about a few cool new features, we're talking about a genuine revolution in how we drive. It could make our roads safer, faster, and way more efficient. And the benefits in the real world? They're massive. Imagine getting a heads up about a traffic jam miles before you hit it, so you can just take another route. Or picture emergency vehicles clearing a path automatically long before you even hear the sirens. Your car could find the closest gas station with the shortest line. It's not just a gadget. This is a whole new layer of infrastructure for our society.
Now, all of that sounds pretty incredible, right? A perfectly smooth, accident-free commute. But there's always a but. When you connect everything together into one giant network, you also create one giant target. What happens if someone figures out how to lie to that network? What if these talking cars could be tricked? And that brings us to the flip side of this coin, the huge security and privacy challenges, because every single one of those connections is also a potential backdoor. And in a system where a single message could affect the movement of a 2-ton vehicle at high speed, well, the stakes could not be higher. Think about it like someone falsely yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. It's the exact same principle, but digital. One single, fake message, a false alarm about an accident, a phantom traffic jam, could set off a chain reaction, causing total chaos and maybe even real-world crashes.
Now, security researchers have been all over this, and they've identified a whole menu of potential attacks. And these aren't just, theoretical ideas. This is what people are actively trying to figure out how to prevent. Let's look at a couple of the big ones.
So first, you've got your basic bogus messages. An attacker could just broadcast a fake traffic jam alert simply to clear a path for themselves. Pretty simple, pretty effective. Then there's something called a Sybil attack, which is kind of wild. That's where one bad guy pretends to be hundreds of different cars at once, creating the illusion of a massive traffic jam that doesn't actually exist. And of course, the big one for privacy, location tracking. If someone could intercept and analyze these messages, they could potentially track your every move. And here's what makes this so incredibly hard to secure. Get this, each car in this network has to receive, process, and verify hundreds of messages every 300 milliseconds. That is an insane amount of data to check in literally the blink of an eye. There is just no room for lag or error. So how in the world do you fix this? How do you build a system of trust in a network with millions of cars all moving around anonymously? Well, researchers are basically trying to build digital guardrails to keep this whole thing safe and on track. And right now, it looks like there are 2 main paths. On one side, you have solutions based on cryptography. Think of these as digital locks and keys. Every single message gets a digital signature to prove it's legit. It's really good at stopping outside attackers, but all that number crunching can be slow. On the other side, you have trust-based systems. These work more like a reputation score.
Cars that behave well build up trust. Cars that send weird messages lose trust. This is better against attackers already inside the system, but a clever attacker could build up a good reputation and then cause trouble.
And that brings us to the core problem, the fundamental trade-off at the heart of V2X. If you want perfect security, the system might be too slow to actually prevent an accident in real time. If you want perfect privacy, you can't identify and kick out the bad guys. And if you prioritize pure efficiency, you might have to cut corners on security. Finding that perfect balance is the billion-dollar question.
Which really leaves us with one final big question. This tech, V2X, could save countless lives. It could completely change our cities for the better. But to make it work, our cars are going to have to share a whole lot of data about us. So the real question we all have to ask ourselves is this: are we ready to trade a piece of our privacy for the promise of much, much safer roads? That's the conversation we need to be having as this technology moves out of the lab and onto our highways.